10 years of marriage, a thriving business, and a seemingly perfect balance between work and personal life. To their friends, they were the ideal couple. But lurking in the background was a shadow, a man named Jacob. He was always around, always towing the line, always with that smug grin that set off alarms. For years, the husband chose to ignore it. Until one night, curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to check where his wife really was. What he discovered shattered his world. Betrayal, deception, and revenge. How far will he go to reclaim his dignity? Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watch this video from. Now, let's get started. In both our personal and professional lives, my wife and I are deeply intertwined. We've built a successful small business together, effortlessly balancing our work and home life. Friends often joke about how smoothly we get along, rarely having serious disputes. Despite one lingering issue, our business thrives, our marriage remains strong, and we continue working toward a shared future. For the past 10 years, we've spent nearly every day together. Every so often, my wife would see Jacob, sometimes during birthdays or holidays, other times just sporadically throughout the year. She maintained a friendship with him, something I was fully aware of. I never considered him a threat, especially since she had assured me that their past romance had long since ended. Whenever they met, it was usually for a quick coffee or dinner to catch up. Strangely, I was never included. He made a point to keep these meetings private, not even mentioning them to his own family. However, there were occasions when we all met as couples, or when my wife and I would join him for a meal. During those times, he was cordial, engaging in small talk about business and shared interests. I tolerated him solely because of Melody. It always puzzled me why she kept in touch with someone who had repeatedly betrayed her trust, cheating on her multiple times when they were together. From what she had told me, he treated her terribly, yet she still made excuses for him. He even bailed on plans we had arranged, agreeing to come over for a barbecue, only to cancel at the last minute, something that happened more times than I cared to count. Her unwavering loyalty to him became even more evident after he suffered a severe motorcycle accident. She spent months caring for him, making sure he ate, bathed, and had his home in order. Initially, I tried to overlook it, trusting her judgment, though I strongly disagreed with her devotion to someone who had repeatedly wronged her. She was quick to advise me to cut off friends who disrespected me, yet when I pointed out her hypocrisy regarding Jacob, she had little to say. The man had a reputation as a player, and his behavior hadn't changed. He often shared crude, inappropriate stories, especially in Melody's presence. She would dismiss it with a laugh, saying, "That's just Jacob." But I couldn't ignore it. Then, one day, I saw his name pop up on her phone while it rested on the coffee table. The message he sent was beyond inappropriate, explicitly sexual. He had essentially invited her to join him and a woman he occasionally slept with. I was stunned. I confronted her immediately, making it clear that his behavior was completely unacceptable. She reassured me that she would address it with him and that it wouldn't happen again. She brushed it off, claiming it was just Jacob's usual behavior, harmless and meaningless. I dismissed it as sleazy, but a few months later, I came across another similar message. This time, I couldn't ignore the sick feeling in my gut. When she fell asleep, I went through her messages. What I found left me furious. More inappropriate jokes, more messages where he insulted me behind my back in moments of frustration. I woke her up, went through the texts with her, and made my stance crystal clear. If this continued, she would have to cut him out of her life completely. I told her plainly that his behavior was not only disrespectful to me, but to our marriage. No real friend would speak to a married woman like that. After that confrontation, she distanced herself from him for a few months. Eventually, a year passed, and she convinced me to allow their friendship again. Maybe it was because he needed real estate advice and we worked in that industry, or maybe I was just too exhausted to keep fighting about it. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet him for coffee with Melody. At first, everything seemed fine. Yet, I never fully let my guard down. I kept checking their messages, and sure enough, I found more inappropriate remarks from him. That was my breaking point. I gave her an ultimatum. This was it. If it happened again, I was done. She defended him yet again, insisting that was just his sense of humor and that she never took it seriously. I didn't care. I don't care if it's his idea of a joke. I won't tolerate another man speaking to my wife that way. She promised to keep their conversations strictly professional and assured me that their dynamic would change. A year passed, and somehow I found myself back in the same position. I had let their occasional meetings continue, despite my resentment. It remained the only real point of contention in our otherwise happy marriage. I despised him, but I loved her, so I tolerated it. I told myself that, since they only saw each other every few months, it wasn't worth throwing everything away. But then, in the last few months, things started shifting. Their communication became more frequent. Every time he called, her voice changed. She laughed more at his texts, spent more time glued to her phone, and found excuses to leave the house. We had always shared our locations with each other, a decision she pushed for after I came home late a few times from hockey, which made her anxious. I had nothing to hide, so I agreed. But when Jacob moved back to a nearby city for work, I started checking her location more often. One evening, she seemed nervous as she told me she was heading to a friend's house to help organize her closet. From the very beginning, I knew organization wasn't her strong suit, so when she insisted she was in a particular place, I had my reservations. I wanted to trust that she wasn't with Jacob, but something in my gut told me otherwise. When I checked her location, it showed an unfamiliar address. Curiosity got the best of me, so I called to see what she was up to. Her voice had an uneasy edge to it. She claimed she was at a friend's house. "Which friend?" I asked. A brief pause, then she said, "Kimberly." That didn't sit right. "Isn't Kimberly on the south side?" I questioned further. She confirmed but seemed irritated, asking why it even mattered. But I knew exactly where Kimberly lived, and it wasn't where my phone was telling me she was. "Say hi to Jacob for me," I said, cutting her off before she could spin another lie. I hung up. She called back almost instantly, but I let it ring. When she got home later, the weight of her deceit must have hit her all at once. She was frantic, overwhelmed. Her anxiety boiled over until she was physically sick. It wasn't long before we found ourselves in an explosive argument. I told her I was done. As I packed my things, she crumpled onto the floor, gasping between dry heaves. We had a crucial business meeting the next morning with one of our biggest clients, but I made it clear she wasn't welcome. If she showed up, I'd have her escorted out. When I left the next morning, she was still in the same spot, sobbing at my feet. She never came to the office, but my thoughts never left her. Even in that high-stakes meeting, I was somewhere else entirely, my mind tangled in doubt and suspicion. She kept messaging me all day, apologizing for lying but swearing up and down that nothing happened with Jacob. She insisted she only kept it from me to avoid a fight, knowing I wouldn't be okay with her going to his place. According to her, he just needed help unpacking. I tried to push my emotions aside, to be rational about it. But I couldn't stop thinking about Jacob, how he had always been lurking on the edges of our relationship. The comparison gnawed at me. He was wealthy, effortlessly charming, always put together. And no matter how much success I had, I couldn't match him in that way. Had he always been more than just a friend to her? Even in our most intimate moments, that question haunted me. I tried to push it away, but it stayed. The truth was undeniable. I didn't trust her with him. That night, I stayed at work late and told her not to come in the next day. I needed space. The past few days had turned me into someone I didn't recognize, obsessively checking her location, wondering if I was the one overreacting. Was I making this worse in my head? Or was my gut telling me the truth all along? The following day, before heading home, I checked her location again. She was at the house. Without warning her, I decided to go back and talk. When I arrived, her car was in the driveway, her phone sitting on the kitchen counter, but she was gone. I thought maybe she had stepped out for a walk. So I waited. Minutes stretched into an hour, and something felt off. Her purse was missing, but her sneakers were untouched. The keys she would have used to lock the door were gone. She hadn't walked anywhere. Someone had picked her up, and she had intentionally left her phone behind so I wouldn't be able to track her. A sickening certainty gripped me. Jacob's address flashed in my mind. Before heading back to the office, I took a detour. Parking a short distance away, I approached his house just to confirm what I already knew. As I got closer, I saw a large bay window. Through the glass, I saw them. She was curled into him, arms slung around his shoulders, lips pressed against his. My body went cold. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. In that instant, every lie unraveled. I reached for my phone and started recording. They were too caught up in each other to notice, at least until I pounded on the window. They jerked apart, eyes wide with shock and guilt. I smirked. Smile for the camera. On the drive back to the office, my mind raced. How long had this been going on? It couldn't have been just once or twice. The secret messages, the strange behavior, she wanted me to believe this was nothing more than a brief moment of weakness. We were adults. Who just makes out anymore? Even if that were the case, it didn't erase the fact that I had voiced my discomfort with their so-called friendship for years. She had always brushed off my concerns, swearing I had nothing to worry about. She knew this would hurt me. Even her own family and friends had warned her about Jacob, knowing his history. And yet, she did this anyway. Had anything between us ever been real? Did she ever love me? I blamed myself too. I should have walked away the first time I saw the warning signs. But I wanted to believe in her. I wanted to trust that Jacob was just a boundary-pushing friend. The truth was, he had never seen me as competition. He knew exactly what he was doing. Had she ever truly moved on from him? Maybe she convinced herself their bond was harmless, but deep down, she had been waiting for his attention all along. Has anyone else been through this? What do I do now? I hate that I even have to share this. I don't want our mutual friends to find out. Update. 3 months have passed. I've spoken to a divorce attorney. Untangling our marriage has been complicated, especially with the business we co-own. It's been a disaster, but there's no turning back now. For weeks after sending her the official notice, I was a mess of anxiety. She fought back at every turn, disputing my claims and even filing a countersuit for defamation and emotional distress. But the facts were irrefutable. I had all the proof, and she knew it. I had to meticulously compile every text, every photo, every video, anything that could substantiate my case. It was an exhausting process, but there was no other choice. The irony of it all? She was the one who had violated the very agreement we had signed when we decided to build a business together. Melody received formal notice that she had breached our partnership contract due to her infidelity. The letter outlined the specific clause she had broken and the consequences that followed. Effective immediately, her role as co-owner and business partner was terminated. Choices have repercussions, and she should have thought twice before making hers, especially with Jacob. With her exit, the business was now solely mine. As for our home, she never had any legal claim to it. It was purchased under my name, with my father co-signing the mortgage. After spending some time at her cousin's house, she ultimately moved in with Jacob. Conversations with mutual friends only confirmed what I had dreaded for so long. Their accounts painted a picture that, deep down, I had always suspected but had refused to fully acknowledge. She had never truly let go of Jacob. She mentioned him so frequently that even our friends took notice. Rosalie, one of those friends, later admitted she had once warned Melody that if she brought him up one more time, she would tell me everything. Rosalie apologized for not speaking up sooner, but by the time she did, it didn't even matter. I had already begun therapy to unpack the emotional wreckage, working through my own blind spots and forgiving myself for missing all the signs. New friendships and hobbies became my solace, helping me slowly rediscover who I was. Strangely enough, I felt an odd sense of relief. The weight of suspicion and doubt had burdened me for so long, and now, with undeniable proof, I finally had closure. Some of her friends were completely blindsided by the truth, having assumed that our relationship was picture perfect. It's remarkable how unaware people can be of what's really going on behind closed doors. Now, 10 months after filing for divorce, the business is officially mine. The uncertainty that had once clouded my future has vanished. Recently, Cyrus mentioned that Melody had reached out, desperate for a place to stay. Turns out Jacob had been cheating on her all along. The irony is almost poetic. She packed her things and moved back in with her cousin. With no stable income, she's trying to start her own business from the ground up, but since I retained all our clients, she's essentially starting from scratch. Looking back, I see now that I was the engine behind our business success. The structure, the vision, the execution, it was all me. As I rebuild my life, I can't help but ask myself, what was it about me that made me so blind to the truth of our relationship? It's a sobering realization. It's difficult to come to terms with the fact that I misjudged someone I once loved so deeply. Despite everything, my friends have been a lifeline. Some were stunned by the revelations, but they've stood by me, offering their support, whether by lending a hand with the business or simply being there when I needed them most. I can't put into words how much that means to me. Following their advice, I've cautiously stepped back into the dating world. At first, it was daunting, but meeting new people has reminded me that there's more to life than dwelling on the past. I've gone on a few dates, some good, some not so much, but each one has taught me more about what I truly want in a partner. There's someone new in my life now. She's amazing, but we're taking things slow, just enjoying the process of getting to know each other. Life moves forward. What I've learned about trust and communication is now non-negotiable in any future relationship. I won't settle for anything less than what I deserve. This journey has been painful, but I've emerged stronger, wiser. The future feels bright, and I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next. And in the ultimate twist of fate, Melody finds herself right back where she started, single, after her chaotic whirlwind with Jacob imploded. It's almost laughable. The irony is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. This story has come to an end. Life always gives us signs, but are we willing to see them? Too often, we justify others' actions, fear the truth, and cling to illusions. But trust is not something that can be half-hearted. It either exists or it doesn't. Love should not be built on doubt, pain, and the constant fear of betrayal. If someone doesn't respect your boundaries or value you, they're not worth fighting for alone. Sometimes, walking away isn't the end. It's the beginning of a better, more fulfilling life. Take care of yourself, respect yourself, and remember, the best is yet to come, but only if you're ready to leave the past behind. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.